Alrighty, welcome back everyone. We have gotten this request quite a few times to do an eating video. We're just gonna go through what I generally will eat in a training day. My nutritionist is John Heck. We will actually switch what we're eating depending on what we're training. Sometimes we'll even do it based on whether we're doing a heavy training day or just a normal training day. With the Arnold prep here, we've actually switched it to just doing what our training days and what our non-training days. A lot of it's just going to be more like that carb cycling type of deal. So for breakfast here, we have, and I'm just going to read it right off of my list here, and I'll just point to it to make it a lot easier. We've got 3 whole eggs. We have 6 ounces of ground beef included in there. We actually have the option for some different types of carbs. He'll actually, for this one, he'll just do 50 grams of carbs, and I get to kind of choose which item I want to do. A lot of times I'll actually just do it as potatoes. So I'll use these little potatoes here. It's nice and easy. I can throw it in the air fryer in the morning so they're nice and fresh, and kind of mixes it up a little bit so it's not always something like rice or something like that. And then we have our sourdough. John really likes to use things like sourdough throughout the day. You'll actually see that in come back in another eating here, probably in a couple more meals, if I had to guess. And then we have 40 grams of our jelly here on top. Then we are over at our shake here. This is going to be orange juice, 480 milliliters of orange juice, and then it'll be 140 grams of fruit. We do have that option to eat the fruit separate. It's just sometimes just for efficiency, and usually I'm going to work on days where I'm eating, I just throw it all in one thing. That way I can drink it either on my way to work, or I can even drink it while I'm getting ready in the morning. I'll actually even go ahead and I'll throw an electrolyte packet in just so I can start getting my electrolytes in early. Gets everything moving nice and well. With the Arnold coming up, one thing that we're doing is we're making sure to add salt to all of our meals. We use the pink Himalayan salt. Sits pretty well. I like it quite a bit. And one thing I do with most of my meals actually is I'll add in a sauce, just because if you're eating the same thing day in and day out, it does get to be a little bit of a chore. So if there's one thing that I'll do that's a little bit off the diet, sometimes I'll add in like a more fun sauce. Might have a little more calorie count, but it helps me get all the food down. Today, I'm using Red Hot Wings Buffalo. This actually has 0 calories. It just has a whole bunch of salt in it. So we're gonna eat this first meal. Make sure to stay tuned through the video. We'll put up a calorie count somewhere, one of these shoulders. I don't know which shoulder we're gonna go over, whichever one it works for. But we're actually gonna go through just some of my nutrition stuff throughout the day, follow my meals, and then Caitlin's actually got some nutrition-based questions for me, just comparing some like my old diet and how things have changed with John, how the body's feeling, all that fun stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna eat my first meal. We're gonna put the calorie count over here if it's not still floating there, and we'll see you guys for meal 2. All right, we are back with meal 2 of the day. This will be usually like an early lunch, somewhere around maybe like 11:30, something like that. We have our rice cakes, so we'll have 3 rice cakes with jelly on top right now. We'll have, our main thing is going to be, basically it's beef, rice, and avocado. It's 8 ounces of beef, 360 grams of white rice, and then 90 grams of avocado. We will also have 240 milliliters of orange juice right now. That's actually something we've added in more recently. And then again, finishing all off with putting some pink Himalayan salt on top of everything. This is where I will usually add in some sauce or something like that, just to make it a little more fun, a little bit more easy to get down. So that's what our base meal 2 is looking like. This is usually second meal of the day. I have one more, and then I'll have a pre-workout meal. So actually I gotta make sure I'm setting the timer to make sure I'm hitting all my meals in time so I can get them all down for the day. And then my wife had a couple of questions here for us to answer on the nutrition side. What you got for me?
What's it been like working with John Heck this year?
All right, so she said, what has it been like working with John Heck this year? So John and I think we're just about coming up to a year here. We started up with him right after World's Strongest Man this year. So it's been really nice just having someone who can tell you what to eat and how much of each thing to eat. You know, I check in with him weekly. If something's feeling off, I'll just shoot him a text here and he'll go through and change my meal plan appropriately. One big thing, and you'll see it later. You might see it later on the day. I actually have a little more time, so I might eat my last meal. But my last meal of the day, I have an option to drink it for during the work weeks when we're getting real busy and we don't really have time to get that next meal in. We'll actually go and drink our last meal of the day. Today, it's actually a Sunday, so I have some extra time in the day. I'm going to get that meal down. Just because it's a little better just to eat it if I can.
What's it like working full time and then also meal prepping? Like, what do you have to do to get all your meals in during the day?
Yeah. All right. So she asked, what's it like having to eat like this basically with having a full-time job? What does meal prep look like? What does kind of my schedule look like to get all this in? We try to do a lot of our meal preps on the weekend if we can. A lot of that's basically the beef and just going and getting groceries and stuff like that. Caitlin will actually help me out a lot with this. Usually she's the one who does up my beef, gets it all put in a container for me and all that fun stuff. A lot of it I'll do in the morning then. So I'll cook my eggs. I'll get everything measured out in the morning. That way it just stays a little fresher and I don't have to worry about it sitting overnight. But yeah, it takes quite a bit of time. It's definitely part of the prep is knowing that you're going to have to take the time to get all your meals ready. And yeah, just takes time. You definitely got to be prepared for that. But yeah, so we're going to eat this meal. We'll put calorie count somewhere up here. Maybe we'll do like the running. We'll do a running total. I got to do some math to try to figure that out. I always have people ask me how much do I actually eat. I'm like, I don't know. John gives me a sheet. I go and make it all, and then I just put it down. So yeah, we will see you guys for meal 3 then. Probably not too long after this one. We are back with meal number 3 of the day. We have 2 granola bars. We're going to end up with, let's see here, 240 milliliters of Fairlife fat-free milk. One thing with Fairlife, I really like having this. I have a little bit of a lactose intolerance, so switching over to Fairlife helps me not get so puffy. It just helps keep my stomach from getting too irritated. We have 2 pieces of sourdough bread. What I like to do, and I can't really do this when I am at work, but Adley come busting through here. If I'm at home, I'll just toast it so I can make like a little toasted sandwich. At work, I'll still make a sandwich. It's just not toasted. But again, John really likes to do the sourdough bread for a couple of the meals, like you saw at breakfast. Then we have, 7 ounces of chicken breast? And then again, another 90 grams of the avocado. Chicken breast, I'll usually, instead of going through and having to cook up the whole thing, I'll go and get like some pre-made chicken breasts that are just cut up. May not be the preferred, but with a busy schedule and with having to go to work and all that stuff, if you can lessen the load a little bit on the meal prep, you're going to stick with it much better. So yeah, this is a great second or third meal of the day. Usually I'll have this in the afternoon at work, sometime before I come home, probably around like 2-3 o'clock. And then I think my wife has one more question for us.
What does your nutrition look like now compared to when you first started Strongman?
Yeah, so what does my nutrition look like now compared to when I started Strongman? Really, when I started Strongman, I just watched YouTube videos. So I watched videos to see what guys like Brian and Thor and Eddie were eating. One tip for that, and I know people are going to watch this and be like, oh, well, we could just run whatever meal he's eating, and it's probably going to sit pretty well. Everyone's a little different. I would highly recommend getting a nutritionist because I definitely was overeating and I was eating things that were a little more sensitive on my stomach, so they weren't sitting as well. as far as nutrition, now that I have John, everything's a lot more tailored to me. So that's where having a nutritionist can really help out. Is having a professional that knows what they're doing, and how to properly fuel me, and when. Really, the timing of it too is a very big difference of when do I eat what. Like, all right, half hour before our lift is when we're gonna eat our pre-workout meal, because that's when it should be settled in by. But yeah, I think really hiring John, like, we've been able to lean down a lot. And we've definitely noticed an increase in performance here. So yeah, we will get meal number 3 down, and then we will come back with our pre-workout meal, which is our cream of rice, all that fun stuff. So I know I've talked about the cream of rice shake quite a bit. If you guys want to see that, stick around for our next one. All right, we are back with meal number, I guess this would be meal 4. This is usually my pre-workout meal. During the week, I'll try my best to get this one prepped out so I can bring it in shaker bottles. Sometimes it doesn't happen, so sometimes we just throw it together real quick when we get home. It is going to be 125 grams of carbs from the cream of rice. That comes out to be right around, I believe it's 4 cups. So we'll make up 4 cups of that cooked. Since I do it in a shake, I'll actually, once it's all cooked up and everything and at a good consistency, I'll throw in a bunch of ice cubes so I can start cooling it down right away. We will also do some frozen fruit, 140 grams of fruit in there. Also, I usually get just frozen stuff. It just stays better. We're trying to look for things with like pineapple, and I believe it's mangoes and peaches and stuff like that too. I think it's mostly potassium that we're looking to get for that pre-workout drink. We also do 250 grams of non-fat Greek yogurt, and then we'll finish off with 2 scoops of protein here from Built Fast. We do usually put it in some almond nut butter. I did actually run out of that recently, so I gotta go get some more at the store. Usually I'll just throw that in, something easy. I switched over. I used to eat all this together. It comes out to be a giant bowl of food, and it took me so long to get it down that I figured I'm just gonna switch over to a drink. It's much easier to get down. This actually started, I think it was Thomas Evans made a joke one day that he just drinks his cream of rice now, and then I got me thinking. I'm like, oh. And I checked back in with him. He's like, oh, no, I don't actually do that. I don't know if you could. And I was like, well, I'm going to try it. So I started just cooking this up and throwing it in my blender here. My wife got me a bigger blender for Christmas, so now it works perfect. But yeah, so I drink this whole thing before I go lift. I believe our time frame is it should be drank within 90 minutes of the workout. So sometimes if I'm coming home from work, it's about 25-minute drive home from work, so I can start it then. Usually I'll be up and into my workout within that 90 minutes. So yeah, I've had a few people ask me about this one because they're looking to get some easier to digest carbs in before their lift. I would recommend this. It's easy to get down. It's something you can make up probably even the night before and throw in the fridge. I'll usually do it in the morning if I do prep it beforehand. And yeah, super easy to get down and get you a whole lot of carbs in for your lift. So we're going to down this, and then we will be back for one more meal in for the day. Oh, we'll put the calorie count somewhere probably right over here, because I think there's a lot of calories in this one. I'm not quite sure. All right, so when we work out, we do have a shake that we actually drink during the workout. It's mostly focused on getting that hydration back, keeping it in there, and then some carbs. So we'll do 100 grams of carbs. Usually it'll be a mix of some sort of carb powder like this, and then coconut water. That one usually turns out pretty good. We do a scoop of is it a scoop or 2 scoops? 1 scoop of the creatine from Built Fast, and then we'll do a packet of this element. It's got some electrolytes in it. It's actually got quite a bit of sodium in it. So usually if I use this one, I won't put a whole lot of extra salt in there. But it also helps to make this taste a little bit better. We'll usually down that sometime during the workout. I'll usually sip on it for the first part. And you guys have probably seen that if you go over and watch some of my workout videos. I'll be drinking on that during the lifts. So yeah, we'll put up a calorie count over here for that. It's not going to be too much, but just something to keep the hydration up and keep a little bit of extra fuel in the gas tank. So next we'll move on to our meal 5. All right, we are here for our last meal of the day. This is our post-workout meal. We used to have it as a meal I actually ate due to some time constraints with how late I get done lifting and then how fast I would need to eat it. So I make sure I'm going to bed on time. John switched over to a drink for me. So what we'll actually do is 2 scoops of this lean mass gainer, 25 grams of honey, 140 grams of the strawberry and banana blend. Usually it's just bananas. I've actually recently I ran out and we're just about to go get all our supplies for the Arnold probably tomorrow. So we'll get some more there. And then 500 milliliters of this Fairlife fat-free milk again. We also have, we also have the 25 grams of almond butter as well in there. And then actually one thing I did forget from the previous meal that we do have the option of a muffin for that pre-workout meal. So that's pretty much everything I eat in a day. We're going to put the calorie count for this meal up here, and we'll actually quick go over what the totals ended up being. And again, I didn't take the time to sit down and read each label. I put it into ChatGPT, and we're going off of what it's estimated. So probably not as many calories as you guys are thinking it would be. So for total calories, it's going to be 6,400 calories in total. That is made up of, 313 grams of protein, 929 grams of carbs, and 181 grams of fat. So probably not quite as much food as you guys are thinking. This really keeps me right around, I'd say we've been hovering right around 400, 405 pretty consistently with these meals. And this is where I've felt the strongest at. You know, we don't want to put on more weight than we need to. We'll probably put on a couple pounds going into the Arnold here. But other than that, yeah, this was our eating with me for the day. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that other fun stuff. We're going to have a video coming out soon with the Arnold of just getting ready, packing my bag, seeing everything that goes into it. A whole lot of Evolution Athletic stuff is going to be going into there, and all my recovery things that we'll bring along with it. We are also going to do a video on our road trip over there. Kaylin and I are actually going to be driving. So a part of that is we're going to be stopping down in Indiana to go visit one of my friends, and we'll actually take a quick little tour of the barn where I first started lifting, first started getting into strongman. But yeah, make sure, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Set up your notifications. We're actually going to be having quite a bit of stuff coming out this week with Arnold. And we'll check back in with you later. Have a good one.